This is Harlem. This is Harlem. Everything happens in Harlem. I've been at the Cotton Club. I've been here. I've been all over the place. And so living right here, I'm blessed. And this is living.
We could have built a separate school, a museum, and affordable housing, but by combining them, we've sort of woven together some of the fundamentally important needs of our community.
Through all the design decisions, what was clear was that we would not just try to kind of make what we think, people who were poor would accept. In fact, I found that quite offensive.
The Sugar Hill development is 124 apartments of very affordable housing, early education that will serve the whole neighborhood, and a museum of art and storytelling for children.
I'm 18, I go to BMCC. I am a science major. Living here is actually really nice. It's way better than where I did live before. It was all my family living together in like a one apartment. So like now we have like a better space and everything.
One of the big criticisms of most social housing projects is that they're singular in their topology. And something which I noticed about this project, which absolutely pricked my ears and really excited me, was this opportunity to make what I call an urban system. A building that was not just about housing, but it was about education, it was about generational interchange, it was about commerce, it was about culture.
I was in the shelter system, and I was waiting for housing for a very long time. I had no idea Sugar Hill even existed at that point. And then one day the consultant said, wait a minute, you have to come and see this place. I was amazed. I was amazed at the architecture, and I was amazed at just how wonderfully it was all put together.
This project allowed me to really test some critical ideas about how different uses can be brought together to create a new urban experience. For instance, here we are in the education corridor of the Children's Storytelling Museum, and we're deep in the building, but you are filled with light that falls directly into the space and animates the quality of life that will be had here. On the podium, you have the classrooms for the Early Learning Center, and they have extraordinary views across to the gardens and park and across to the Hudson and the Yankee Stadium. They get to see how the city works, but they also see how nature works.
Every time my friends ask me where I live, I'm like, the amazing building that looks like a Rubik's Cube on 155th Street. When my son is gonna get older, he's definitely gonna be going to the daycare in the pre-K that's in the building.
In the upper levels, we sought to try and not just create generic windows, but to create a sort of what we call a jazz composition of windows. We wanted to use different scales of windows to talk about the fact that these windows were not just letting light in, but they were also framing views.
When I first saw all the windows, the way they were placed along the wall, I was like, somebody's hung pictures? And then I got closer, and I saw that actually they were windows that overlooked the park. I was exuberant.
On the form of the building, we did a lot of research, almost photographing the entire historic neighborhood, to try and understand the sort of nascent quality of the urban area that we're in. With the facade, we introduced a method of creating ornament, which was to put a vector drawing into the formwork for the concrete. In different light, you see the rose pattern, which refers to the Harlem Rose. But more fundamentally, the building is about creating a relationship both with the public, but also with the residents. Everybody's brought through the same place. It's all played out in front of the plaza, and the public and the private are all allowed to kind of intermix in a very sort of public civic display of the kind of good qualities that you can have in the city.
It's a great honor to be here, to have my own place. I love it. I'm just so glad to be part of it.
What combining different functions in a development does is it benefits wider and wider circles of people. And in our case, the youngest children of our neighborhood were the priorities.
I was living in the shelter, and I got to the shelter because of domestic violence situation. The best part of being here is just knowing that my daughter has a home. You know, when I used to live in the shelter, she used to sing, "We're home, we're home." And I used to be like, Mommy, this is not your home, you know? This is just something temporary. Now she comes here and she's like, I'm home, I'm home. And I'm like, this is your home.
We received 48,000 applications. The need is so great we could build many more. And in fact, we're hoping that this model sets an example for other neighborhoods to create an integrated form so that using the capital that's available to build affordable housing, to stretch it to serve broader community purposes and benefits.